Yeah, g'day guys, Steve here from Old As Adventures. Did a recent four-wheel drive trip out to eastern Victoria, what is sort of loosely called the Wilderness Coast. Ended up at Wingan Inlet for a night and jumped in the kayak and paddled out through the Wingan Inlet entrance out to the Skerries. Was there back in 1988 or something, so I wanted to go for another look. Beautiful paddle out there, got a bit hairy going out through the entrance and coming back in, and by the time I did get out there, sort of allowing for the tide, it was sort of a bit blown out, so I turned tail and went for home. But a very nice paddle, I must say. Paddling up a river here. Got to be running in the tide at probably about 5 or 10 knots of flying now. Just sort of having to come through a bit of a bottleneck. How's a bloke supposed to paddle out in that? I can't believe the tide is rushing in here that quick. That is crazy. They're the islands I want to get out to out there, but jeepers creepers. Hopefully the green kayak doesn't look like a seal. Last time I was out here, there wasn't half as many seals as that. There you go. It stinks, I know that. Yeah, well, that really wasn't worth it. I've been waiting there for 2 hours for the tide to settle. In the meantime, the wind's been coming up and getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Anyway, we're here now. We did it. Definitely got to come out here on a very calm day. I've got the problem here of waves spreading around the islands, coming together at this entrance. Not ideal. Because I had to wait for the tide, the wind's come up now. I'm gonna blow a wind. Hang on. Woo. That is freezing. Hang on. Woo. That is freezing. The fact that I got in there without getting tipped over can only be described as a miracle. Only be described as a fucking miracle. That's a bit more like it. Not a good combination coming in there. Whew. Tide coming in, wind blowing the opposite direction. There was bloody chop coming over the bow. I'm drenched. Oh, I'm not sure that was worth it, to be honest. I never realised that high tide was at this point here. So yeah, I thought it was a bit closer to high tide. Obviously I didn't take enough notice, did I? Well, that was an adventure. I was here in 1998 on a motorbike. and met some people in the campground here, and they took me out on their tinny and had a couple of paddle boards. We paddled out to the Skerries and went snorkeling with the bloody seals and everything. Dead calm, obviously, and we picked it at either the ebb of the tide or low tide or something. But today, I think it's about 38 years later, I worked out, thought I'm going to go out there and have another look. But obviously I got out the point and the tide was just rushing in crazy. So anyway, I just sort of kicked around for a couple of hours, did a bit of fishing, mucked around and whatnot, and probably about 2.5 hours in the end, and just had a crack. And I managed to get out without tipping her over, and I managed to get in without tipping her over, but that is not good management, I can tell you. That was just good luck. Anyway, I went out there and had a look. I ticked that box. Tick. I wouldn't do that again in those sorts of conditions. I'll have to make sure that there's number one, pick the tide, and number two, just, you know, I got out there early. I was up at first light trying to get out there as early as possible, but just got to pick your tide and yeah, try and beat the winds in the sort of sea breezes that come up at lunchtime. So yeah, or sort of late morning, they generally come up around these areas. Anyway, I'm all drenched and I haven't had breakfast yet, so I'm gonna go put some dry clothes on and have some bacon and eggs. Looks like we've got a cracking day anyway. Anyway, it is a beautiful spot, have a look. Hope there's not too much water on the lens, but yeah, beautiful white sands, and yeah, so you can't complain. We'll hope to see you out in the water. Thanks. Oh, actually, how does it go?